Thanks for joining us as we take a closer look at the recent release of The Fantastic Four: First Steps, otherwise known as
the reboot of the reboot of the reboot of the reboot of the reboot. Don't worry, we got this right this time on this reboot of the reboot.
For sure, we do. Yeah, we know. Believe us. My name is John Newton, science fiction author, and to cover this review of this movie and to discover if it is truly fantastic and 3 things that you should know about it and so much more, I'm joined by
Eric from your brother in Christ.
But wait, there's more. There's a surprising theme that gives this film a powerful Christian message. But before we get started, smash that like button and subscribe and tell us in the comments, is this movie worth your time? And share this video with your friends. Actually, the sharing is pretty powerful, huh?
Yep, extremely powerful.
Exercise your superpower.
Someone would even say it may be fantastic.
So if you really, oh gosh.
This is how it's going to go. This movie was pretty cheesy.
So I don't know about cheesy. I disagree. I do not think it was cheesy. I think that was well done.
It's a good mix of cheese.
Depends on what kind of cheese you're talking about.
Provolone.
Provolone it is. We'll go with provolone.
Hey, it's better than goat cheese.
Better than goat cheese?
Yeah. Don't eat all the musk.
Okay. Fantastic Four Steps, released yesterday, July 25th, is Marvel's 3rd and, well, actually 4th attempt, I guess, if you go back far enough, at the Fantastic Four. This is an MCU, it's the introduction to MCU Phase 6, and we had to go to a different universe to get it all started. So let's take a quick look and see what the movie might be like.
Famous around the world, please welcome the Fantastic Four.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, Eric, how would you rate it?
I give it an 8. That's not bad.
An 8?
That's pretty good. It's better than Superman.
For you were usually pretty tough.
I'm pretty stingy. I'm very stingy.
What did you give Superman?
I think I gave it a 6.
I think you gave it a 6 also.
If memory serves.
So I'm bouncing between 7.5 and an 8. I think that that we both thought it was pretty well done, I guess. Some things that we can say in terms, before we get to spoilers, because I don't want to spoil it to anybody who might be saying it's a brand new movie just coming out. So we're going to do this real quickly, say what the strengths were of this. I would say the focus on storytelling was good. It wasn't drawn away by any kind of message that was suppressing it to say that, oh, we need to make sure that we have a certain type of morality that's shown in this movie that needs to be done. You don't see that. I thought it was going to be, I heard some things going into it. I thought that maybe that was going to be the case. It didn't. You do have a strong female character, but she's feminine. This is not something that she's trying to fit into a masculine role. And I think it comes, would you agree? Does it come off
that
pretty
seems
well?
To come off pretty well as far as if you're talking about Sue.
Yes.
The answer would be yes. She fulfills the role of a mother.
Yes, most
a
definitely.
Mother and a wife. So, yeah, not too progressive.
So just to make sure that we're talking about the same, I'm going to show you the cast real quick to make sure we're on record with everybody here. You do have Sue Richards. Yes, I do see that. And I'm trying to do that at the same time as I'm doing this. And it's hard to do both because I have to switch back to, where's my chat? Comments. Bye-bye. Back to this. Got it. Okay. So Pedro Pascal played Reed Richards, and you had Vanessa Kirby play Sue Storm. I wonder if she was related to the original author, whose last name was also Kirby.
Don't know.
This is back in the 60s. So I think that's probably not the case. Then you have Ben Grimm, who is the Thing, basically the rock guy that does this, who just loves to smash things like the Hulk. And then Johnny Storm, who is the Human Torch that goes into Galactus. You have Silver Surfer, and you have a lot of other key players that come into this as well. Okay, so that's the background on that. Focus on storytelling, strong family dynamics. Sue Storm, her feminine strength, not necessarily a masculine strength that was there. I think that had really hit the heart of the story. Strong visuals. Now, was there anything else positive that you would add to this spoiler free?
Spoiler free? Not really. I'd say that the strong emphasis on the nuclear family is there from the beginning. That is basically a focal point of the entire movie. It's kind of built around the concept of the nuclear family being a good thing, where you have a husband who's trying to protect the family. You have a mother who's trying to protect the kid.
Refreshing.
It's definitely different from where the MCU has been going. Now, there is the gender swap of the Silver Surfer being a woman instead of a man. And I think that was done for story reasons, not for message reasons, which does make a huge difference. And I don't really have too much of an issue with it if it's done for story reason, not for, I want to push this ideology.
Yeah, I thought that was well handled. Then anything negative, I would say that maybe the plot was a little predictable in cases, maybe a little bit of thin in some of the character development. But other than that, it was overall an enjoyable story too. Because you go with that. Would you agree? Disagree?
I agree. There's some plot holes.
Plot holes.
Some pretty big plot holes.
Ooh, I want to see that. So is that like in the spoiler section?
Yes,
the plot
it would have
holes?
to be in the spoiler section, of course.
Okay, well, can't be poking holes, I guess, in the non-spoiler section. The movie's family dynamics, family focus and dynamics hit us hard, especially when there's a big moral question that's asked of the family in the movie. Now, I really can't get to that too much. Oh, I might stretch a little bit to say that when we get to the theme section, before we get to spoilers, we might tap on that to a little bit to give you a little bit of a preview.
Mr. Fantastic. Invisible Woman. Human Torch.
I love you, Johnny!
And the Thing.
Hey, what time is it? Say the thing.
That's not really something I say.
It's clobbering time.
That's just in the cartoon.
It's just in the cartoon.
Spoiler-free synopsis. So summarizing the movie really quickly without giving anything away. In a 1960s inspired retro-futuristic world on Earth 828, which is a parallel universe to our Earth, which means they can write anything they want. The Fantastic Four, led by Reed Richards, played by Pedro Pascal, Susan Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm, who is the Thing, they face a cosmic threat from Galactus and his herald, the Silver Surfer. The story emphasizes their family bond as they navigate a high-stakes challenge. So what happens in this movie, and I can't say what the high-stakes challenge is without getting into the spoiler section, but it's gonna hit them hard right where they live. I think that since it's a theme-based movie, that was where you want to do it. Writing-wise, I think that was well handled. What do you think about the whole 60s nostalgic?
I thought they did a good job on this. Now, again, this is sort of in line with what Superman was trying to do, which is more of going back to the old one, older style. They definitely leaned into that concept here. But unlike in Superman, which Superman didn't do a beginning, an origin story.
Oh, yeah,
he jumped
yeah.
straight into, actually, it was after he got his butt beat.
Yes.
And
3 years later. After
3 years later,
yeah.
Basically no character progression or character establishment with many of the characters. I would like to have seen those fleshed out in Superman. That being said, in this one, they did similar, where they pick up with the story after everything's been established.
It's almost like these two writers were in cahoots together doing the same
very
thing.
Similar, except one did it successfully, one did it horrendously, in my opinion. Because I don't want to get started on a movie where I feel like half the movie's already over. This one picks up.
So why do you think that was? Why do you think that this one was better in starting it after the fact?
I didn't feel like I was already following a loser.
Oh.
Because immediately it's like, oh, you're already at the end. I mean, if they would have came back and Galactus had just kicked all their rear ends, hypothetically speaking, not that necessarily happens, but just hypothetically saying, if that would have been the case, that he kicked all their rear ends, you know, the stone guy, the thing is like half beat up, broken up, you know, all this stuff. I would have felt that I missed half the story.
Yeah.
But it picks up where they are established. So you don't have to have the origin story again, because it's already something that's been rebooted I don't know how many times. So we know the origin story, but yet follow an interesting story along with them. So
Okay.
I think that's where they did well. And they also did well in the character progression and the character establishment.
Yeah, I think they did allow a little bit of that first before you have the inciting incident come in, which is when Silver Surfer introduces Galactus.
I think an advantage is also everyone in this one was already pre-established in the lore. You had Reed Richards, you had Sue, you had Ben, and you had Johnny. Those are all established characters. We already know what to expect from them. In Superman, yeah, you had Superman, you had Lois Lane. Those were already established characters. You don't really need a backstory. But some of the bad guys, we were lost for a good portion of that movie.
Well, yeah.
Them being actually established.
True.
You know?
True.
Like the nano woman or whatever, the architect or whatever, the engineer.
The engineer.
Her was like, who is this?
That's right.
She's not established. She's not a character from before. Even the villains in this one were already pre-established. Galactus is already well known. So Silver Surfer already well known. So that was an advantage on this.
For those who follow any kind of comic books or seen the previous movies, they may have Galactus is new. He hasn't shown up.
Galactus was in the last Silver Surfer one.
Was he really?
Mm-hmm. But he was not in this form. He wasn't in the comic book form. He was more of just like this sort of like eating ship thing that just ate everything.
Yeah. So, and they did try to, I think they did try to keep close to the comic book for anybody who is a purist with that. I think they did much
I think they tried to do pretty good. At least the design of Galactus.
The only thing I would say negative about that is Ben Grimm's, the Thing's voice is not gravelly. He doesn't talk like that. He has a regular natural voice.
True.
So his voice box was not. I will say one thing that is a bit of a spoiler. All right, so there's this scene where they lose power and they have to conserve power during this part of the movie. And Ben Grimm, the Thing, is shaving, and he's shaving with like his grinder, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got to knock off rocks. That's what he's done. And so he ends up the lights go out, and he doesn't finish. And there's a lot of good dynamic between him and Johnny, who is Sue Storm's, the Invisible Woman's brother. So there's a brother-sister thing. This really is. I was wondering going in if there was going to be something funky with the family. So this is a family, but you do have her and her brother, her and her husband, and then her husband's best friend, who is the Thing. So they're all together. They've all been working together for a long time. The electricity goes out. He only has his half shaven, and Johnny gives him a hard time about having this thing. And then for the next few scenes, you see his beard starts. I think it starts looking
pretty good. It was good in. See, those are the sort of small things I like seeing in some stories because it's
attention to
real.
details.
Yeah, it's attention to detail. Yeah. It's okay. He doesn't have this power, so it causes an inconvenience for them. It's minor, but still an inconvenience for him. But you can see that in the character. You can see that, okay, now the character has a beard because, well, he can't shave because every time he goes to shave, it kills the power.
Yes. Yeah. So I thought that was done. And the other aspect to that too, and this is not spoiler, this would be adding to the non-spoiler section. The comedy seemed to be well placed. It wasn't at a tense moment where you're building up this the serious part of the theme and then somebody cracks a joke and it just breaks everything right there, which is something that has plagued the MCU and also DCU with the last movie in Superman.
Superman was pretty bad.
It's distracting. It's like, oh, come on. It's like the guy who has terrible comedic timing, your friend who just cracks jokes at the worst time. You're at a funeral and he cracks a joke. So, dude, no, not now. This is not a good time.
Yeah.
That was not the case in here. So checking the chat, Thomas Hall said, can't say, I'm guessing this is about seeing the movie. Can't say, I just wanted to say it's nice to see John dressed up like he's going to the movies in 1946 when he was a real event for the family. Yes. And since there was this, I wouldn't even say 1960s because it's not like, it's not like post Beatles. It was pre Beatles. and this was the retro feel they had to it. This alternate universe, and it was as if the timeline had changed a little bit. You have the what people thought the future was going to be with flying cars, and that style continued with things and everything.
I think the world building was very well done in the end. It definitely gave that sort of feeling that it was like a split off world. That was what we thought at that time period. This is what it would have looked like.
This is the year 2000.
This is how it would have pulled out. And I think it really gave it a good flavor.
Yeah. So this is, I am dressing up appropriately. This tie is from my grandfather, believe it or not. So it was from that era, and actually probably in the 50s, as far as I know. So that does make a difference. And then we have Smith Wesson said, I used to get Garfield and Peanuts at the local library, but haven't been there in a while.
Comics.
Oh, that kind of yes, that kind of comics. Yes. Clarification.
So I'd say that this was tried to say as close as the style, the look, the feel. They tried to stay really close to the old comic book look to it and feel to it, and really abandon the progressive concepts they've been putting forth in these movies up to this point. Because I would say, if this would have came out during the heyday when people had a lot of respect for the MCU, I think it would have been a blockbuster.
Okay.
I think it would have done really well.
Let's take another clip and look at this. This is when Galactus is introduced to the, so we've established the family they're going through, and it's family and friends, right? Extended family with John, and then you got the friend, and Sue is pregnant.
Yep.
So there's a big question is, okay, is this baby going to inherit some of their genetic superpowers? And what happens when you cross a stretchy guy with an invisible girl? What kind of baby do you have? This is almost like the Incredibles coming out with their kids. What's this child going to be is a big question.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
Three things that are must-knowns about the Fantastic Four first steps. Number one, family-centric superhero story with a heart. Unlike recent superhero and MCU films like we were just talking about, this reboot puts family first, with Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben feeling like a real unit. The 1960s retro-futuristic setting adds the charm, and skipping the origin story keeps the focus on their bond, making it refreshing contrast to the campy 2005/2007, which I didn't think was too bad. I thought that was pretty good, but it wasn't. I don't think it was as good as this one.
2007 kind of really.
And definitely the 2015 reboot was ugh. So this does then set up the theme that comes in. There's a Christian theme based on the family units because they're challenged in a certain way. I got to be careful about spoilers, so I'm going to stop right there. So the second thing that would be good to know is Susan Storm's feminine strength shines. Vanessa Kirby Susan Storm is a powerful, nurturing leader whose maternal resolve drives the story quite a bit and helps out when battling Galactus, believe it or not. She's a strong female protagonist who doesn't sacrifice femininity, offering an inspiring model that ties to our discussion that we're having about sacrificial love and the theme of the movie. The third thing is Galactus' terrifying moral dilemma, shrouded in this. This is a must know, kind of, because this is a bit of a spoiler. What happens when Galactus comes and they talk to Galactus? They try to discover what he was really doing. They want to save the Earth because Galactus is his planet eater. He's going to come in and destroy every planet he comes to, and says, basically, you're the next on the list. So they go to try to negotiate with him. In the process, he says, you must give me something in exchange. Now, spoiler alert. I'll let you know right now, we're not actually into the spoiler section, but this is a warning right now that we're going to hit this. What he asked, and you might be able to get this from the trailer as well, is he asked for their child. She has given birth, and actually this is before she gives birth, right?
Yep,
he says,
he wants the kid.
I want your kid because there's something special about him. Basically, he has been eating planets since the beginning of time, for billions of years. And he's tired. He doesn't like doing it. He wants to retire. And the only way that he can do it is if he gets the child. Now, he's not very specific on how this works or whatever.
A lot of hand waving.
But he wants the child to be able to do this. Somehow this child has a celestial power. Now, whether that means he's going to consume the child or kind of like set the child up as his protege.
I think it was supposed to be.
Because he kind of did say that. And then
it's like it's supposed to be, this is the next one. He's supposed to take on the mantle. He's supposed to become the next Galactus, basically, just like he did from the previous one.
Okay.
Because there's implied that he was not always this way. Something came and gave him this mantle, and now he's going to pass it on to this kid, and he's going to go destroy planets, and he's going to go off in La La Land.
He did say that, but then something else came up that confused me a little bit and made me think that it was something else. But when he does this, he can basically retire, and then maybe the kid will do it. Two things are wrong. First of all, I don't want to give up my kid. The second thing is, I don't want him to be an eater of planets. Excuse me. Yeah, vegetables. Make sure the kid eats his vegetables.
Well, that's a lot of vegetables.
Well, that's true.
That's a lot of veggies.
Oh my God.
Lots of veggies. Lots of vitamins.
So these three things are good to know. Now let's take a quick minute and talk about that. We've already talked about the being family centric. You're cool with that? You thought that was in there?
Yep.
Refreshing because you see a mom and dad actually working together positively, and there's no alternate relationships, strictly speaking, heterosexual. A man and a woman, when they love each other very much, can create a baby if everything works right. So that happens. And then as far as wanting to, there's such a drive for Hollywood to have these strong female characters. Did you think that she was appropriate?
I think it was pretty appropriate all in all. It didn't feel like she was overriding her husband, but working along with her husband. She had her moments. Don't get me wrong. She definitely has her moments.
Yeah.
And in those cases where like, I have to save the baby. This is my job, is to protect the baby. And this is what I am doing.
Primarily it's the guy's job to protect, but there is, Mama Bear, she's going to go in there and do what she needs to. Right.
Yep.
I mean, both are going to protect the child when need arises. So that was appropriate, you'd say, right?
I'd say so.
And that was a good strength. It was showing there. And then this whole question about Galactus's ordeal. So what would you do if you were in their shoes? He said, give me the baby and I won't destroy your world. Or keep the baby and I destroy the world anyway. And basically the baby gets lost. So they think we're going to try plan C, get rid of you so we can keep the baby. So which one of these three things that I mentioned appeal to you to the most? Family-centric superhero, making a strong female character, feminine strength, not a masculine strength, or this moral dilemma that you have with you're being challenged to give up your child. Now, before we get into the spoiled-filled review, I do want to bring up, well, let's do trivia. So we're going to do trivia in that. The film is set, the first piece is it's set on Earth 828, which is an alternative MCU universe. That explains the standalone feel. There's no Avengers that are coming around, sticking up for the planet. They're not around. You have the people that are protecting the planet are the Fantastic Four. Now, it was named 828, not just haphazardly, but it was named that because that's Jack Kirby's birthday, who is one of the he co-wrote that with Stan Lee. They both of them together. Another piece of trivia is director Matt Shakman drew from WandaVision for the retro aesthetic, and he shot the film with as many practical effects as possible.
I think it paid off.
You think it did?
I think
It didn't look cheesy, overblown in CGI or anything. He used 2001 Space Odyssey, which came out in 1968.
You mean not 2000?
Yeah, 2000. No, back then 2001 was this like way off future. For us, it's our way off past. The Herbie robot that's in there was a combination of wooden puppet, remote controlled animatronics, and with functioning head and arms, and computer generated imagery. So it used both practical effects and CGI together. And you say you think it
I think
well?
Whenever you're using, definitely lately, the movies using practical effects have looked a lot better than just CGI everything.
Now, the Yancey Street, that's where the New York street that you see this is being done, is based on New York's Jewish areas in the early 20th century as homage to Fantastic Four's co-creator Jack Kirby, who is Jewish. He also grew up in that area.
You don't want to just crush him? I like that.
The four of us will face the danger. We will protect you.
So what's at stake here?
The Earth?
The Earth or the baby? What are you going to do between the two?
Well, actually, no. It's not really the Earth or the baby. It's the Earth or the baby becomes a planet eater that goes around killing millions of people for the next unforeseeable future. It's not really that much of an option, in my opinion.
No. So what would you say are the Christian themes in this story?
I'd say family-oriented, having as a nuclear family is a very strong Christian theme because that's how God designed us to be.
Would you what age group would you say this is appropriate for?
It's probably early teens.
Early teens?
Teens.
Okay. Like 11, well, you would take
11,
a 10-year-old
12,
maybe to
10, yeah.
Okay. And so I don't think there's really anything inappropriate. I think there's some language, but that's about it, right?
Yeah,
and
that's about it.
Is there any blood even?
I don't think there's any blood. I don't think there's focus on it. Even if there was some people who died, I don't think there's really a heavy focus on it. In fact, granted, people must have died on those planets, but it's very obscure.
Right. So with this, we're going to get into the spoiler review section. But before we do, let's take a look at.
What time is it, Ben?
No.
What time is it, Ben?
No, Johnny.
Say it!
I don't wanna.
Say it!
Spoiler-filled theatrical review. So we have already gone over Galactus Ultimatum, talking about give us a child or not. And with that came, there was a obvious tension between the Fantastic Four who were formerly heroes and a mob that had grown up outside their building and said, listen, give up the kid.
Give up the kid. Save all of us. You know, there's so many people on this world that you can just save. So many other kids that you can save just by giving up your one kid, one life for many. Yeah, it's not really that, but they're saying mathematically it makes a lot more sense. My statement is you're just setting up another Galactus to go kill millions and millions of people.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway,
yeah.
So not really a good trade. Yeah, your world will be safe, but not so many others.
But that's what the Silver Surfer did, right?
She ended up regretting it.
She ended up regretting it because she ended up sacrificing herself, and she could make that decision. The kid can't make the decision. The parents are making the decision for the kid. So she did. She went out there and she became the herald for Galactus,
choosing the planets to be eaten.
Yeah, my gosh.
Which, wow, okay. And then at the end, she does have redemption process, as in previous ones. But yeah, it gets pretty bad. But you could see where the kid would regret it. The kid would end up hating his parents because his parents stuck him with this. He didn't have a choice in the matter.
Right.
And he had to do this, and they just did it for their own protection. And they're willing to throw him to the wolves for eternity in order for this opportunity.
Yeah. Now, Here's the other part. This is where I have my Christian theme. Is that, and I think this is very powerful. You probably see it already. Is that God gave up His Son to save the world. Now He had, I don't know if you call it a cheat card with resurrection, but he could get his Son back. But still, there was that sacrifice on the cross, very painful. The whole ordeal He had to do. He was down here on earth. He did not have to do that.
No, and it was
He chose
His choice to do it.
Right.
Both the Father and Christ both chose it willingly. It's not like He grabbed a random person off the street and said, okay, it's your turn. You're dying on the cross for everyone else.
And it was done before the foundations of the earth, before the earth was created. So He was the Lamb who was slain before the foundations of the earth. It was Jesus. And He chose to create us, even though it was going to be a painful ordeal, even though most would turn their back on Him and walk the other way. He still chose to do that. And in this movie, you saw the tension that was there. So I was going to say, if you happen to see this movie with anybody, or someone's talking about this movie or bringing it up as a point of conversation, you can use that as an analogy or a metaphor to say, in the same way, God did give up His Son to purchase the rest of us, to bring us all back. And so I think that was I was watching it in the theater. I thought, whoa, this is
pretty good.
This is a good one.
So I'm hopeful. If this is the indication of what is to come with Marvel, they might be abandoning the woke in hopes to try to save themselves. Now the question is it too little, too late?
Yeah, that is a good question.
It
And
burned a
this
lot of bridges.
rolls over to the next one. I don't think they'll see a repeat of the same numbers they did before. I think the whole dynamic of theater is changing. And you talk about streaming services. You're going to talk about it being able to create video on demand. Create video on demand, not just watch video on demand.
Nope,
But
create video on demand with AI.
You look at the Bigfoot videos that are coming out. It's going to be a game changer. How are things going to look at from now? But there's another part to this movie that I wasn't quite keen with. We were praising the family, but there's one thing that's a little bit off with this, and see if you can catch it. And also in this,
it's about connecting to something bigger than yourself. We'll face it together as a family.
So she defines family as facing something bigger than yourself. You're
Connecting to something
connecting,
bigger.
Connecting to something bigger than yourself. So that's an aspect of it. I think we can agree on that. But is that really the definition of family?
That's not sufficient.
Not sufficient as a definition?
Nope. Not sufficient as a definition, because you could say that a nation is then a family.
Right.
Human race is then a family if you connect to other globally humanity,
or even your job, your business that you're working for. You're
now
slugging through.
Your business is now your family.
Yeah.
I mean, there are family businesses.
Yes. Yes, but it's not like Walmart is my family and everybody's. There are two types of family dynamics that are talked about in the Bible. The first is the natural nuclear family and the extension thereof, because you can have the larger extended family from that, and the family of God. Now, those are actually, maybe the family of God, you can say, has stronger binds than just a nuclear family, because he said that Jesus had come to not to bring peace, but to bring a sword. It's like, what's going on with that one? How does that really jive with it? But it's talking about, listen, he's going to cost you your life, and that might cause some tensions within family, and there might be some.
No, even in that case, though, there is talk about Christianity being a family, having brothers and sisters in Christ. And I guess in that case, yes, you are connecting to something greater than yourself, as to connecting through relationship to Christ himself and to God. So yes, in that regard, yes, but it's what I'm saying is insufficient. There's more to it than we're just connecting. No,
definitely.
there's a lot more to it than just a connection.
Yeah. So we've been over the last few weeks, we've been looking at different videos, Hollywood movies that have come out. We took a look at Jurassic Park, another rehash, another reboot, and that was poorly done.
I'd say poorly. I'd say this one's definitely better.
And then we looked at Superman, and like we said earlier, it tried. There's a lot of similarities between this movie and that one, and it fell short in a lot of ways too. And check out the videos that we have for those if you're curious. But then with this movie, I think they did nail it in a lot of regards. Now, was it fantastic? Was this a 10? No, but in the recent desert of good stories that have come out of Hollywood, even this
movie.
reboot of a reboot of a reboot, you would say would be.
I'd say it ends up being pretty good.
Pretty good. So definitely on an 8 level with you.
Yep.
So you have some things coming up. What are you working on?
Yep, we've got the upcoming Seek and Share Truth Conference in Youngstown, Ohio, that we have starting this Thursday. It'll start with we have multiple speakers lined up for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday evening will be debates between David Wood and Daniel Hikikachu on a couple of different topics. The topics being the Islamic dilemma and the who portrays Jesus more respectfully, Islam or Christianity.
Ooh. No, that sounds like a good one. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe. And what I have coming up in the next few weeks is I will be helping out with the conference. I'm going to be there. Hopefully, if any of you are going to be there, I'll get a chance to see you. And then there's a bunch of things that I'm working on. We have the Back to the Future interviews that I did last week. They're going to be coming out, and I'm going to be using those next week as a little bit of just keep things going and to show you there's some really good ones that are in there. I enjoy doing those. Those will be coming out as shorts. And then after that, we're going to do a conference follow-up, interviews, highlights, and more. And then I'm looking at a bunch of other things. And one of the big things that is coming to mind is the role of AI. Is it a looming threat, or is it an age of prosperity? It looks like this is going to be a huge game changer.
Oh, yeah.
More than I had thought originally. And holy, strap in, guys, because it's things are going to be changing. So again, thank you for joining us, and keep in the word and keep courageous.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.